Welcome back to another episode of Spoilers Should Unfiltered, and we're going to dive right into Alien Earth Episode 5, In Space No One. I'm sure that's short for In Space No One Can Hear You Scream, because there's no sound in space. And with everything that happened on the Maginot, that's probably a good thing because there have been screams just echoing throughout the galaxy. So this episode, and excuse me, I'm still a little bit under the weather, but moving forward in this episode, the Maginot, well, they give us a flashback to 17 days before the Maginot crashes into Prodigy City. This is our prequel episode. We're back to the beginning and we're going to see, in my opinion, this episode answers a lot of the whys, like, except for why, and this was probably a serious question. Why are we trying to collect aliens? Because the Maginot, which was a research vessel, they decided to, or they were ordered to go out into deep space for 65 years on a mission and, collect specimens, which we learned were these alien specimens that are here before us now. And with that being said, um, the episode opens with the Maginot, like I said, 17 days before it crashes into Earth. The crew awakens. Well, most of the crew is already awake. The crew that is awake um, are sabotaged and attacked by the face huggers to begin the episode. Some of this we don't know because we're trying to catch up, but that's basically what is gonna come from it. The captain and Bronsky are the two people that get attacked. The captain obviously gets killed because the surgeon tries to cut the face hugger off his face and the acid bleeds onto him and kills him. So he gets a nice acid bloodbath death. Um, Maro is awakened as we saw, and he comes in hot and asking his questions and trying to figure out what's going on. All while this is going on, the aliens are loose on the ship at this point. The episode basically opens with a fire breakout. The aliens are already loose. At least the face huggers, which are going to turn into the xenomorph or whatever, where they're going to hatch into somebody, then they're going to turn into the xenomorphs. But they're definitely loose. Then as we get through more of the episode, we start seeing that the face huggers are loose. The T. ocellus, which is the eye spider, it gets loose, and then the toxic ticks, which the toxic ticks, that's what I'm going to call them. The toxic ticks, they're terrible and they're nasty, and they just remind me of every reason why I don't go in the woods. But at the same time, the part that was the worst was when the one just spit or did whatever it did into um the scientist lady's drink, and all the little tadpoles just swirling around there, and it was nasty. The whole time I'm sitting back just waiting, like, man, when is she going to take a sip of this? And it created really good suspense for the episode. And not that it was needed because the episode was full of suspense. Um, to go backwards for a second, this episode was old school. It basically felt like a mini movie. Kind of, I think this is what some people probably were looking for. This was a alien feel type movie. It was, 50 some odd minutes long, so it's not quite feature length for a movie, but it gave you everything that we got in our alien movies. The suspense, the paranoia, the dim-witted crew, the obviously the aliens, but this time they just gave us more aliens, not just the xenomorphs that are going around killing everybody. We have the TR cells that eventually takes over Schumer or whatnot, but we'll get to that in 1 second. But like I said, the aliens have broke out or have been broken out because we find out that the ship has been sabotaged. And one of the questions that I had was, how did the ship just crash into Prodigy City? Of all the places on Earth where it could have crashed, why there? And now we see in this episode that there was a sabotager and he was working with Boy Cavalier the entire time. Obviously, before the TV show technically opens, but he had this plan set up. He had somebody on board that was going to sabotage the ship. And obviously, he uh, jammed the steering and all that good stuff, the controls. Basically, he basically put the Maginot on a direct collision course with Prodigy City. I don't know if crashing into Prodigy City was the actual plan, but definitely to get it close to where so Boy Cavalier and his crew could steal the aliens off the ship away from Wayland Utani. That's clearly what the plan was. So maybe the crash was an accident, but everything else wasn't. This was all set up by Boy Cavalier. He's proven to be a lot smarter than I don't know. I think we've given him a lot of credit for being very smart, maybe a little reckless, and definitely reckless, but I think we've always given him credit for being smart. He's very, very smart. And to do this to one of the most powerful companies in the world, because they're part of the Power Five companies that run the entire world, he's clearly very, very intelligent, and he clearly has resources that we don't fully know yet. Going back to the ship though, we start having deaths. Malachite, after they meet in the rec room and lay out a plan for, or a plan, a lack thereof, a plan for basically trying to take back over control of the ship and get everything back so they're not this basically hurling missile in space. Malachite drinks water from the canister that has the tadpole tick things in them. Now, I'm not sure if you guys saw it or not, but where's her name? I can't remember. The scientist lady who water was initially, she drunk out of that too, right after Malachi drunk out of it. So I'm not sure, although she does die a scene or two later, in the room with Malachi as they cut him open and they see all the ticks on his heart and stuff like that. Even though she dies then, she took a sip right around the same time that he took a sip. So why wasn't she suffering from some of the things that were going on inside him as well? So I'm not sure if that's something that they missed, or maybe I just caught, or maybe she didn't sip all the way. Maybe she just put it to her mouth. I don't think that's the case, but she died anyways. So whatever. But I just happened to catch that. So I was just a little thrown off by it, because if you all caught it like I did, we were waiting for her to, get messed up by the ticks or whatever the case may be, like Malachi did, but she didn't. But she ended up dying in the room from the when the doctor pulled the tick off, and it blew this green fumes in the air and basically started choking them to death. So Zavari and Maro and what is his name? Shumel. They seal off the room, and then basically Mara at this point basically takes over the ship because Zavari she can't take it anymore. She has lost her lover. She has lost most of the crew that's awake. And obviously we'll see that some other people have their chests burst out and stuff like that once they get to Earth. So obviously everybody's going to die except Maru. But before we get to that point, let's get back to Zavari, and her lack of command of the boat. I mean, of the spacecraft. As the sabotage continues to unravel on the ship, and Maro basically takes over and takes the lead on everything now. Him and Chen are going to the labs or whatnot, and Chen gets killed by Petrovich. But then we see Maro, and I don't remember this with any of the other synthetics in the past movies or whatnot. But we saw Maro with this long spike, and he almost basically did the alien move when they gut you and they hold you up or whatnot. He basically did all of that. So I'm not sure where he gets this super strength from. We do know that he was taken from the street or whatnot, and it's not clear to me if he was made into a cyborg or already a cyborg, because remember, we are in the future. So I'm not sure if he was just a broken cyborg or a human that was just messed up and they made him into a cyborg by adding robotic parts to him. But the guy is very strong, and there's just more to meet the eye with him. Obviously, as we saw in this episode with the flashbacks to him and his daughter, So he clearly was a real person. He's not synthetic like these like Wendy and the Lost Boys are. He's not synthetic like that. And speaking of that, the whole reason that the ship was sabotaged was because Petrovich wanted Boy Cavalier to put his mind into a synthetic body, which at this point had not been done yet. So he didn't even know that Boy Cavalier could actually pull this off before he basically risked his life and everybody on Earth, because he did bring aliens here. Because what if the ship would have crashed and, what if they would just got out some type of way and it spread everywhere? Who knows? But the point I'm making is he did this dumbass thing without even a guarantee that he could actually do it, because at this point, Wendy had not been made into the first synthetic child mind in one place thing yet. So that was just something I caught as well. Like, damn, dude, you don't even know if this is going to happen or not, or if this is even possible or not. But you know what? I'm going to go ahead and just risk it all. But I guess people risk it all for less. But after Maro kills him and dispatches of him, he just leaves the lab. That if you watch the episode, the spider eye, you know, doing the slingshot Spider-Man thing against the glass, basically knocked it down, broke the thing. But when the lady left the lab, she never even made sure, because you remember they told us at the beginning of the episode, if it's green, they're all secure. But it was clearly red, but she was rushing out of the lab when she walked out. So she left these T-Ocellus, the spider eye thing, secure, so he knocked himself free, and that's how he got loose to run amok anyways. And the tick thing let itself out. And this is what I was talking about earlier when I said incompetent crew, but this is in every horror movie. So it fits the thing. Sometimes I like seeing smart people just get into some bullshit and it turns into stuff, but we put all these smart, incompetent people in these high risk situations, and this is what happens. So I'll just leave that there, because you would think after the tick let itself out that she would have been a little bit more careful, but no. So at the end of the day, excuse me, Shumel eventually ends up getting turned into some type of zombie by the T-Ocellus, because as when Zavari arrives at the bridge finally, he's already turned. He's just standing there. She's trying to talk to him, and I guess he attacks her, knocks her out or whatnot. But then Maro comes in as he's hiding in the floor. Maro's very crafty, and he knows every inch of this ship. But he comes in and does the taser thing to Shumel after the alien did some type of, I guess, battle announcement to the xenomorph. And then the xenomorph walks in, and then they start clashing at it, and he goes to work at him, and so on and so forth. But and then it was even funnier when the after Shumel got killed, that the T-Ocellus tried to jump onto the xenomorph as if it has an eyeball to jump onto, but it tried. I was curious for a second if it was going to be successful in getting onto it in some type of way, because I was just looking forward to some type of new super hybrid alien monster. But maybe in the future, or that may be some type of mutation that they do, if they even do stuff like that. So I'm just riffing and having fun. But that would have been crazy if the T-Ocellus could mix with the xenomorph, because the T-Ocellus, as we know, is extremely intelligent, and the xenomorph don't seem to be no dummy either. So imagine those two as one killing machine. But basically after that, the episode basically takes us to where the show begins. We see Maro, season commander of the ship. He's going to sacrifice the remaining crew and survivors, just to make sure that the I'll call it the package, but the aliens, I'll make sure that they're all secure. As long as they get to Earth, then he's completed his mission. Although he thinks they're going to Wayland and Utana, he doesn't know that the sabotage is going to lead to Prodigy City and all that. But but yeah, basically just the episode ends where episode 1 begins, and it now we're going to be getting into the real thick of things, because now we understand that this entire time Boy Cavalier set this up. He wanted those aliens. He knew he had a how he found out about them before the mission, or what their mission was from Weyland-Yutani, how he found out about that. Maybe we'll figure some of that out, because the TV show is clearly going into some of the corporate not espionage, but some of the corporate scandalous type things, and maybe a little no espionage. This is probably closer to insider trading, because how do you know our company secrets? So, but maybe they'll reveal some of that. It's probably not that important that they do, but I mean, it would just be interesting just to know, like, how did he find this out? But the point is, he knew about it. He set it up. He made sure that he got the aliens, and he did. And now Maro is on a war path to try to kill Boy Cavalier, as I guess that's his new mission now, because as the episode 5 ended, it brought us back to the present day, where Maro was talking to the head of Weyland-Yutani, and basically telling her that, he's going to kill Boy Cavalier, and she's going to give him all these resources now, to whatever he needs, whatever that means. But don't forget that Kirsch still knows that he's trying to manipulate this kid back from in episode 4. So it's not like Morrow just has this solid plan that he just has this in and everything's going to work the way he wants it to. Boy Cavalier, along with Kirsch, seem to be very, very ahead of the plan. Like, they are 2 steps ahead, at least it seems, so far, than Weyland-Yutani is, and they haven't even brought in some of the other ones yet. So more to come with that. Tell me what you guys think about the episode. I really enjoyed it. Like I said, it gave me the old school nostalgia, the alien feel. Like, this felt like a good, for a 50 something minute, it felt like it felt longer, but in a good way, because it wasn't boring to me. It was very much like a movie. It gave me the suspense that I was looking for. I love the darkness of it. The sets are beautiful. Can't say much about that. Like, all the sets are beautiful. The lighting, the camera work, like, everything in the show is good. Episode's a little bit shorter than it usually is, but let me know what you guys thought about the episode down in the comments. I saw something where people said that the show is digging into morals and ethics of people, and I agree, because like I pointed out, I think back in episode 1 or 2 of the reviews for Alien Earth, this show to me has more of like a Walking Dead type feel, and then I mean that in a way of, yes, Walking Dead has zombies. Yes, Alien Earth has aliens, but they're not the forefront necessarily. They're going to be there to do crazy stuff and kill people and all that stuff like that. But this is a world building a character driven show. So the people are the ones that are driving the story and the narratives. And to me, that is a great way to go, because when you put people in a world with real monsters, what will they do? What will they try to do with them? Will they try to, um, they're definitely going to try to monetize them. In any real world, fake world, fiction, it doesn't even matter. If you had this type of money and you could control something, trust me, you're going to try to monetize it, turn it into a weapon or something like that. So let's just be serious. But like I said, the verdict on the In Space No One is a classic survival horror, and it was very, very bold in its take. I love how they did it. I'm not a fan of these types of episodes or movies. I hate when a movie comes out, then they give me a prequel as the second one, and I gotta watch that. And it's confusing to some. I understand it, but I just don't necessarily like it. Just, it wouldn't have hurt my feelings if this episode 5 would have been episode 1, and then it would have just trickled into the show from there. Would not have hurt my feelings at all. I would have still understood everything. So With that being said, I appreciate you all. Thank you for stopping by and keep coming by, and see you next time.